Yep.
Marc Moncion, Head of Safety, Compliance, and Regulatory Affairs with Fleet Complete Big Road. Thank you for being on Transport Topics.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. We're talking about electronic logging devices. And let's start off, tell us about the certification of devices by manufacturers.
Certainly. So the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Authority has a process in place for vendors to self-certify their devices. There's a rulemaking process, and they have to go through all of the functional requirements and must meet those requirements. Once they meet the requirements, their devices will be registered and certified on the FMCSA's website. And there is currently a growing list of vendors on that website.
Terrific. And there is a difference between the electronic logging devices, of mandate of which is December 18th of this year, and the AOBRDs.
Right.
Help us with that acronym and explain to our viewers the differences.
Sure. So a AOBRD is essentially the device which complies with Part 395.15 of the Federal Hours of Service Regulation. So essentially all of the functional requirements in that reg will allow a carrier to use a AOBRD compliant device. Now, with that device in place, there's a graduated steps to comply with the rulemaking. So provided the AOBRD is compliant, motor carriers have an additional 2 years of grandfather time, which brings them to December 16, 2019. After December 18, 2017, if a motor carrier doesn't have at the very least an AOBRD device, they must fully comply with an ELD device, which is essentially far more intrusive, if I can use that type of language. So the connectivity of the device to the ECM, when the vehicle is exceeding 5 miles an hour, then it will activate drive time. There's unassigned driving time, which must be accommodated for as well. So really for motor carriers, you see a lot of them are pushing towards being AOBRD compliant, which would then give them the additional 2 years of grandfather time.
I understand. And Mark, why is the industry, parts of the industry, in such an uproar over the ELD mandate, the one for this year?
Well, I'd like to start off by saying that a number of motor carriers are already using electronic devices. So there's a segment of the industry which perhaps have not used the device. I've heard a lot of the device from, say, the truck stops, and there's trepidation that Big Brother's watching the drivers. But really, once these types of devices are deployed by motor carriers, I've spoken to a lot of drivers who say, don't ever take that device away from me, because there's a lot of efficiencies with the device, i.e. you're going from a 15-minute interval to every 1 minute. There's greater operational efficiencies. Drivers are able to spend more time on the road. There's the reduced burden with paperwork. So it becomes a win-win for not only the driver but the motor carrier. At roadside, being a former DOT inspector, when the inspector sees that a carrier, the driver has an ELD device in place, they're less apt to go really granular in assessing the driver's hours of service, because the gray matter is out of the equation. It's a black and white type of scenario for off-duty time, on-duty not driving time, time spent in the sleeper berth, as well as driving time.
Terrific. Mark, tell us a little bit about Fleet Complete Big Road.
Fleet Complete is an amazing company. We've recently acquired Big Road. Big Road is our platform for the ELD devices. We have our DashLink. It's got hundreds of thousands of subscribers. It's easy to use. It's one of the leaders in the industry, and I'm proud to be aligned with this company. I'm what you'd call the trucker in the company. I come from the industry. I was also a DOT inspector and an auditor, and I've worked for the largest trucking insurer in North America, as well as waste management companies. I'm really an orange in a bushel of apples with a lot of bright young kids that are so talented in terms of Internet of Things, and they're leveraging my skills and knowledge and with regulations with respect to the trucking industry. So there's great synergies with myself and my employer.
Terrific. Mark, thank you so much for being on Transport Topics.
Great. Thank you very much for your time.